The nice hot weather's back again, isn't it? All the sun, it's great. Now I was having a chat with a friend of mine, Mark Yates, earlier. You'll possibly know him on YouTube as Big Man in the Woods. Does loads of different vlogs. Brilliant guy, really nice to know. And something he was pointing out, I keep saying I'm going to show you how to make a windmill out of a pop bottle, and I haven't yet, have I? So Mark, Big Man in the Woods, this one's for you. Right, so here we go. You are going to need wire cutters and some thick wire. I've got this stuff, but the core that you'll see in kitchen cooker wire is probably good enough. Need a decent sharp knife, duct tape, a drill, and of course a pop bottle. And of course you don't do anything without having a decent cup of tea with you as well. Oh, you know what, that is actually a really good one. Right, so anyway, you take your bottle. You'll see this one happens to have markings on it already. It's just got some like ridges or whatever on. The more you leave, the kind of fatter your windmill is going to be, and the less the size of the blades, because the blades are all coming out of this plastic here. So what you usually find is near the bottom there is actually a mould line. I use that as my lower limit, and on the top I kind of go about halfway between the height here, so it's just started to curve in. Now what you're going to do is you're going to make an even number of cuts down it. Each one of those cuts is basically the separation of each blade. If I do just 4 cuts, then what I'm going to end up with is 4 blades. If I do 8 cuts, I'm going to end up with 8 blades. 6 cuts, 6 blades, etc. I usually do 6 blades. I'm actually going to try and do 8 this time. Probably a little bit more tricky because there's more blades, but yeah, we'll give it a go anyway. Now first things first, always make sure that there's no liquid left in your bottle. Before we do anything else, whilst the bottle's still fairly solid, we want to drill through the lid. Now what you want to do is make sure that your drill bit is roughly the same size as the wire. The wire's obviously got to go through and it's got to be able to spin. If it's too tight, it won't spin. Be careful when doing this. Get adult supervision if you need to. That one's specifically for you, Mark. So easy enough to go straight through there. And then we're going to go straight through the mould line at the bottom. Voila. So now we have a bottle with a hole at the bottom and the top, and I'm just going to get myself a bit of wire ready, and you'll see why in a bit. So I'm just straightening this out. I'm not going to need this entire length, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend the end bit round and just trim it off a bit. So I've got a nice little curve on the end there. That's basically going to stop the bottle coming off. Okay, if I go sideways for you, you'll be able to see. Obviously, when that's going through, the bottle won't be able to pop off. Now, make those cuts. Be really careful with this. If you slip, you are going to go and take off a finger. Be careful of not getting the knife anywhere near your legs or anything. We do not want anybody being hospitalised. So you just go all the way down. Now what's important is that you get every single cut exactly the same length. The reason for that is it's going to fold out. If one cut's longer than another, it's going to fold out at the wrong point. So I've made those 2 there, so the next one is about there. And another one opposite. So that's 4. And you can start seeing that these can fold out and they're going to become the blades. What I'm now going to do is cut the other 4 and I'll come back to the video. Okay, so I've now got 8 cuts going down, and what I'm going to do is I'm now going to push the top down towards the bottom, and I'm going to encourage all these bits of plastic to come outwards. If you do it gently and slowly, it's a lot easier to control. Like so. And you should end up with something that looks a bit like a flower. Now I'm going to put that bit of wire down through the top and out the bottom by feeding it through. And you know I did that little notch on the end earlier, like that. It now stops this from moving. What you can do is just help to align it a little bit better and work out roughly how thick is that going to be. When you've worked that out, make a bend. So now I've got a bend in that wire, and that's kind of stuck. That's going to keep that in place nicely. Take the first blade, hold the 2 ends together like that, go to the middle and just flatten it slightly. What you're then going to do is take a little bit of duct tape and what we're going to do is wrap this around our fingers if we're not careful. There we go. Start wrapping it on there. So I hold those 2 bits together where I've done that fold, and I'm going to wrap it round the back and round again. That's going to hold that nicely in place. And I'm now going to do that 8 times and come back to you again. Okay, so now I've got all 8 blades taped up. It spins. Doesn't look that great though. Now what we're going to need to do is tape further up. But before we do that, what we're going to do is just take each one and just twist it over. Roughly the same angle for each piece. That angle is going to become the angle of attack of each blade. Hopefully you can see the angle I'm doing it at. So I'm doing probably about 35-40 degrees. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to tape each one of those. So you can see I've done that. And if you can see there's a crease line just across there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tape along that crease line now. Now if you notice, this one has now suddenly become a lot stiffer than the rest. These are all really floppy. That seems to be holding in place. At that kind of, there's a slight angle that I've done. I'm now going to fold it again. And you can see I'm getting a blade kind of shape out of it. I'm going to do the rest, come back to you again. So just coming back to the video, I've only done 3 at the minute, but if you can see, there's a good crease forming down these. They are more like aircraft blades than these ones that are all a bit floppy. Okay, so here you are. We now have all the blades done. You will find to start with that the wire is a bit stiff. A decent strong wind will get that moving. What you can also do is, if you look, the wire isn't perfectly straight, you can play around with that a little bit, try and get it to sort itself out a little bit. Sometimes you can get it so it spins really nicely. I'm just going to adjust that a little bit more. Other than hitting my knuckles, that's going quite nicely, I think. And then you just need a good strong breeze. The other thing that you might want to do is get yourself a decent garden cane. Got quite a nice long one here. Always take the end of the cane, not the tip, the sort of the smaller end. Go for the thicker end. The thicker end's usually got a lot bigger hole, and when you sit that in there, that will allow it to spin. As you can see, I can turn that. Well, there you go. That proves that it will turn. So the theory is, when you hold it up into the wind, it will now spin. And there you have one finished windmill. Cool, huh? So I hope you enjoyed that little bit of frivolity there. And now, of course, while I'm trying to do this end scene, the wind just stopped. There you go. All right, take care. See you later. Bye.